Welcome to Geek on Film with your hosts, Robbie Holmes and John Hosch. Hey there, folks. Welcome to episode 30. That might be a word. We're going to be reviewing Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania today, as you can see from the title of this episode. But I'm Robbie.
Did you say episode?
I think so, yeah.
What's up, episode? Hey guys, I'm John. Welcome to episode 30.
We've made it. We're so professional. Look at us at episode 30. This is pretty impressive. So this week we're going to talk about a couple of television shows, and then we're going to jump through a couple of films. I was able to go to a really cool in-person experience that I'll talk a little bit about, and then we'll spend some quality time in the quantum realm and get to spend time with Kang the Conqueror. We haven't talked about it. John just sort of came out of the theater and is about to talk about it. So.
Yeah, it's all super fresh. So, I think I've got thoughts already. We'll see. Yeah, be fun to
so
talk
this
about.
Week, let's talk about some television shows. I've finally watched the first 2 episodes of Poker Face. I think I may have watched the first one before the last episode, but we never talked about it. And I watched the second episode. So now we've gone from premise episode, right, the pilot, where you get an idea of sort of the backstory that's going to now lead across these like one-off episodes. And episode 1 is really fun. You get a chance to meet Natasha Lyonne and Benjamin Bratt, and there's a nebulous voice on the phone, which they haven't given us the answer to yet, but I have a theory. But episode 2 is the first where Natasha Lyonne's character is now on the run and getting away from what's going on in Vegas, and she stumbles into a town, happens to meet someone who is accused of a murder, and of course the premise is that she has this sort of internal like clock. When someone is lying, she knows. So it's they're deceptive in their answer. It is not like she can figure out what beyond that. Is today Sunday? And if I said no, she would immediately know I was lying, right?
It's like a spider sense.
Right, but not able to get past that. She can't see into their mind, right?
Right.
And I think it's sort of great that this is just sort of the premise of the show. We're moving on, right? No real explanation. It was like, this happens. This is, and it's fun because it works because of the fact that Natasha Lyonne is kind of believable as a weirdo who might be able to tell when you're lying. You know, like I think she's a great actress. I think this is a perfect role for her to be a part of, and that she got a chance to help create. It's super fun. I don't know if you've gotten a chance to dig in yet.
I've checked out the first episode. I also want to make people mention that this is from Ryan Johnson, who brought us the Knives Out movies and stuff like that. He is the creator of this series, and also something that I've kind of noticed is I feel like Adrian Brody has a very interesting role, at least in the first episode that I saw, and I feel like he's finally having a little mini renaissance where like he's like playing a lot of like asshole characters. There was a movie that we talked about where it was like the murder during the Agatha Christie.
See How They Run.
See How They Run, and he's like a really assholey
producer.
Producer in that, and I think he's great, and
I'm serious. I'm on board with this sort of Adrian Brody-essence where he gets to play characters and not the leading man, because he's really a good actor. He's got a great face that is sort of super malleable, right? But he also has the ability to play smarmy, like, unsure. He's got all this capability as an actor. He can do anything, but letting him be a character actor, I think, is like what his superpower is at this point in his career.
Yeah, it definitely shows his versatility. So. I've enjoyed what I've seen so far of this show. I haven't seen much. It's also I think it's like a 10-part mystery series, they're calling it, from the poster. So
it's on Peacock. So a reason to get Peacock if you don't have it. So let's talk about the next one, John. What did you see?
So I came across a show that just premiered on ABC, I believe, and then obviously in the States it's on Hulu afterwards. Maybe it's on Disney Plus in other countries if it's
very
available.
Likely. Yep.
But this is a show called Not Dead Yet, which is a new show starring Gina Rodriguez, who I absolutely love. I don't know if you ever watched Jane the Virgin, but it's really one of my favorite series of all time. It's so fantastic, and she's incredible in it. Um, and
I have
like,
not. So those of you who aren't watching us, I definitely made an acknowledgement to the fate, and I realized this is an audio medium. No, I have not watched Jane the Virgin. It's one of those shows that comes up very often where people say like, Robbie, this feels like it's in your like milieu of things you like. So I
yes,
am not surprised that you have affection for it. And
yeah,
and I've heard nothing but great things about it. So
it's definitely, it's 100% something that like get a nice bottle of wine, you and the wife on a Sunday, like just like get ready to binge a couple episodes, like
nice.
half of a first season, and you'll have so much fun. But yeah, Gina Rodriguez, she so far there's not a lot of episodes out. I think there's like 3 episodes out. So she is coming back from leaving a newspaper job as a kind of like an investigative journalist, but she's stuck writing obituaries. And what's happening is all of a sudden, as she's getting these assignments for who to write these obituaries for, the people appear as, I guess, kind of ghosts or spirits, or maybe just like figments of her imagination. But she gets to know them, and kind of they teach her things, and then she also kind of helps them kind of come to grips with things as they're about to pass on. And it's just a really, really well done, well acted kind of comedy drama situation. It's got a fantastic cast. Hannah Simone, who was I loved from The New Girl. She was kind of Zoe Deschanel's best friend. And then Lauren Ash, who was fantastic on Superstore, is
Oh my
also
god,
in
I
this.
adore Lauren Ash.
She's so great in this.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just like a really great ensemble, kind of multicam, drama situation. And I really enjoy it. I definitely would, like you should at least give maybe the first episode a try, really short episodes,
Mhm.
and you probably will get hooked. And like, when it says like, do you want to play the next one? You'll just let it go and not hit no. So,
That's funny. So I think Gina Rodriguez also plays Gina on Big Mouth, which is the show that my wife has dubbed
mm.
"Filthy Kids." If you want to watch this, Filthy Kids, she's great in that, and it's like really what the voice acting of everyone in that show is fantastic, and
Mhm.
she's got a really distinct voice, and
Yes. Yeah.
I'm like looking at her credits, and I was like, oh my god, I know her from that more than almost
Mhm.
anything else. So
Sure. Yeah.
super fun.
Yeah, she's fantastic. She absolutely is fantastic. You would love Jane the Virgin. It's very fun.
I will have to add it to the queue.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the next thing, which is a super exciting one. For those of you that aren't aware,
Hey.
John is actually a part of this. So I watched the first episode of Hello Tomorrow on Apple TV Plus. And I am really impressed. It's going to be hard for you to talk about because you're in it. But let me just tell you, Billy Crudup can anchor anything. There's so many good actors who are a part of the pilot. So the whole premise of the show is that Billy Crudup appears to be selling property, him and a bunch of other people, on
Mhm.
the moon in a
Yes.
place called Brightside.
Mhm.
And it's sort of like 50s
It's
50s dystopian moved forward. How do they describe it in the call sheet, John?
it's what they not so much dystopian, but it's literally like 50s,
Like futuristic.
yeah, like or retro futuristic.
Yeah.
It takes place in the 50s, but in the 50s was before that's when the future and like space travel and all this other stuff was like in like science fiction at the time, was like all like positive and everything. So everything
Yeah.
is kind of, yeah, it's like retro futuristic. It's a very interesting niche kind of thing to kind of be a part of.
Well, and I just love the commitment to the bit across the
Hmm.
board. Like, there's little aspects where, like, Billy Crudup is getting dressed and he puts on a tie, and the tie self ties. Like, it
Hmm.
just closes up around his neck. Just there's so many little details like that throughout the pilot that are showing you this world without telling you a lot, which I really love. Like, you know,
Yeah.
the delivery being done by a truck with a bird in it, right? Like
Mhm.
that is on the screen and talking to everybody. Immediately stops and doesn't hit the dog, but backs up trying to get away and hits someone, right?
Mhm.
Like, so there's also the ability to say probably that maybe this technology isn't always perfect, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yet everybody lives with this technology, right? Like it's
Yeah.
sort of become part of their world, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, yeah. It it follows like Billy Crudup, who is fantastic to kind of watch do his thing on from behind
He's
the scenes.
so charming. Also,
Yeah.
like I haven't met him, so I'd love to. Yeah, I don't want to get you put you on the spot, but I always feel like he comes across as like just eminently charming in every interview I've ever seen him in, and
Yeah. Yeah.
he comes across that way even in the show, right? Like they're
Yeah.
playing on his charm, you know.
Absolutely. He was a joy to kind of be around on the show. So my part for this show is in the show there are practical robots in a sense where they're these like these really cute kind of one-eyed levitating robots, and they're like different colors and they all do different jobs, and they kind of fill the backgrounds, besides some other robots like a little vacuum robot, and there'll be some more as the show goes on. But I was part of the puppetry team that kind of brought those to life, and it was a lot of fun to be a part of. It was incredible to kind of see the set that they built for the show, but also the locations that we were going on, and you know all the 1950s cars are authentic, and it was really interesting because they were on set, but then they would put these like kind of black reflective things over the tires, so then in post they could like they could kind of take those out digitally and like make, because all the cars are levitating as you do in the future and things. So
Well, and there's a really practical effect which I loved when we're sitting with Billy Crudup's character and his son gets in the car, and the car, you can feel the car give.
mhm.
So obviously, even though it's levitating, it weight makes a difference. So I love the
Yeah.
fact that it's probably the practical car shocks that are being affecting this, but I love that they didn't wash that out because, like,
Mhm.
of course, the car would have to compensate for another person being in it, right? Like,
Yeah.
that would be part of what you'd have to figure out, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, like so far I think it's like from what I've seen, because I purposely didn't read the entire scripts because I knew I wanted to watch the show and kind of see what they were putting together, even though I was on set. And so far, it's like it's a very charming show. About how they kind of pitch it a lot is it's All My Sons meets the Jetsons.
Yeah.
It's like
It
he's
definitely has the Jetson-y vibe. Like, it's
yeah.
something that even Amy mentioned. She's like, this feels a lot like the Jetsons in real
Hmm.
life, which,
Yeah.
I mean, it nails that feeling and aesthetic kind of perfectly. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
50s smashed into future is a really unbelievably well done. Really blown away. I'm excited to watch more of it.
Yeah, yeah. There's a as far as I know, or at least my part, there's some really fun bots coming up. So
Nice.
yeah, I had a really good time, and hopefully people are enjoying it. Hank Azaria was really fun to kind of be around, as well as the other people in the cast.
And I mean, Hank
Duchesne.
Azaria is somebody that like we've grown up like
Oh my
adoring all
gosh,
this
yeah.
work. So like, I'm sure it was just like, there's Hank, right? Like, it
Oh
must have
yeah.
felt like you were a child, like, oh my god, he's the voice of everything in The
Yeah.
Simpsons, right?
But
Like,
also, yeah, and probably the richest guy in the room, but always on time, always
yeah,
knew his lines, was ready to like give like some priceless ad libs when asked. And also, I
that's
gotta say,
awesome.
like Deshane Williams, who I think prior to filming Hello Tomorrow, he was on The Expanse. I think I
Okay,
don't remember. Um, yeah, I think it was The Expanse. He was such a joy to kind of be around, and he would always kind of swing by and be like, "Dude, these robots are so cool. I love that we've got these robots and stuff." Because if you took away if you took away the bots and some of the stuff in the backgrounds or the cars, like this could just be a 1950s show. But then
yeah.
you add all these other things, and all of a sudden it becomes this like retro future show. So yeah, I mean, I'm really happy with what I've seen so far, and it was a really great was a really great experience for me, and yeah, I'm not sure if like it's going to garner a second season, but we'll see.
Hopefully, I mean,
Yeah.
off the pilot alone, I could see how this could be very complicated, and I think there's a lot of story to
Yes.
tell just coming out of
Also,
the pilot.
yeah, and like my gosh, wait, I mean, if you look at everyone in like everyone from the extras to the leads, most of the costumes are all authentic vintage clothing. The cars are vintage. Yeah,
I mean, Billy Crudup's suits in the first episode are just so. I mean, he's born to wear a suit cut for a '50s man,
yeah,
but like, God, they look so good. Like
yeah,
the like ties with like the little dots that almost look like they could be stars and moons. Like
mhm.
that, he's it's just so beautiful. There's such amazing attention to detail. It's obvious that like somebody's really cares. The costuming on this is so unbelievable and felt so genuine. You know.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, check it out. Hello Tomorrow on Apple Plus or Apple TV Plus.
Yep.
I think new episodes drop every Thursday, but I think there's 3 out now. So yeah, check it out.
It's exciting. We'll definitely be watching more here.
Yeah.
So I'm going to jump in. I got a bunch of films I watched this week. One fun one was on Valentine's Day. My wife said like, you get to choose a film that we watch, and I was like, well, I bought you Dirty Dancing in 4K, so let's finally bust that out. So
Nice.
it had been a really long time since I saw it. This is a film that like my mother absolutely loves Dirty Dancing.
Mm,
It's the kind of film that we could put on at any point and like sit down and watch. But I like definitely bought her Dirty Dancing on VHS as a kid, and
yeah.
like so it was really fun to revisit it, especially with a sort of modern eye on storytelling and
Mm,
with the podcast and thinking more about how I consume things.
hmm.
Um, this is a 4-star film. Like it is the kind of film that I feel like you should be giving more people this as an example for how to write a script, right? Like
Yeah.
the way that the story is broken is really smart, right? Like you learn just enough at every point. No individual storyline falls off a cliff, right? Like
Mhm.
it's not all tied up in a neat bow, but like everybody you interact with feeds into the main story,
Mm,
and even the sub stories. Like it's such a smart way to tell the story they're trying to tell. But
yeah.
also, I grew up in Brooklyn, right? Like, we went to places that were like this. Like,
Hmm.
I went to a place in upstate New York called Villa Roma, which
Mm,
was like sort of the, Brooklyn, mostly Italian kids. Like my parents' best friends were the Fodies, and we went there as a group. It was us, the Fodies, the Albanes, and like it was such an experience that reminded me so much when I saw this the first time of like us in the '80s going to Villa Roma, right? Like
mm.
so it had the like modern twist on this resort. But I didn't know this, but like the resort itself is actually here in Virginia, and
Oh
Amy's
wow.
been there. Yeah.
Oh wow. That's amazing.
And like I carried the watermelon, like she walked across that bridge, like did
Oh
the dance, like
wow.
um,
Awesome.
yeah. So it's a movie that means a lot to me because of my connection with my mom. But
Hmm.
watching it again, you just watch how much charisma Patrick Swayze has.
Oh my
Like I was
gosh.
just blown
Yes.
away by like how cool he is. The first 30 minutes of the movie, you're like, this movie is just like a love letter to like the cool factor that is Patrick Swayze. Like
Yeah.
he every time he swoops into a room, the camera follows him, right?
Yeah.
Like every eye in the room is like it's unbelievable how storytelling is done without saying a word.
Yeah.
And that's what I was really blown away by. I'm so impressed by this as a film, taking a step back and reviewing it as a film and not
Mhm.
as like my previous experience watching the story. And it's just very good storytelling.
Yeah,
Like
I mean, there's a reason why it has stood the test of time, and like it is a classic and everyone loves it, and there's a reason why it's like, getting a 4K Blu-ray release, or
yeah,
it's available on like multiple platforms, and
yeah. Right now
you
it's
know,
on Paramount Plus. You can definitely buy the 4K Blu-ray. I will warn, it is definitely a film that is shot in the 80s to feel like it's shot in the 60s.
mm,
So the grain is really prevalent.
mm,
This is one of those that like some people who collect 4Ks really don't like grain. They get
gotcha,
frustrated by that. But
right,
I think it really makes it feel like it is set in like 69 or 68, right? Like it feels like it's of that era. It has that warmth that
yeah,
is important in those movies, and I think it's a combination of like the choice of film stock they use, the choice of cameras they use, the lighting schemes, right? Like so much of the movie is lit by candles when it's nighttime, or like sconces that feel like candlelight. There's like it's all soft white like bulbs. There's no like fluorescent. So it's smart. Like everything has a warmth to it in all
Right.
those scenes, and it carries over to the feeling of the movie. But like it's subtle, right? It's the things that I think are really important that are so unbelievably subtly telling you the story without beating you over the head with it.
Yeah, one of the shows that I really love on Netflix is that documentary series, "The Movies That Made Us,"
Yeah,
and I believe that they've done an episode about Dirty Dancing. I'm pretty sure if they didn't do it, then there is some other great documentary on Netflix about it. But
yeah,
yeah, it's a great. I mean, I remember at my senior year during my senior show where like you're supposed to like show off stuff that you do or whatever. My girlfriend at the time did the final dance for Dirty Dancing. So
yep.
yeah, it was a huge part of my life as well. I love that movie.
It
There,
was just so nice to revisit it. Like it
nice.
felt like I was hanging out with an old friend,
Hmm.
and to watch it for the first time with my wife and
Yeah,
her experience with it, and how much it meant to her, but also like me being honest about like not
totally.
not putting my walls up and being like, this movie is important, and like,
Yeah,
and
what a
not just
great
writing it
soundtrack
off.
too. Such a great
Yeah.
soundtrack.
Oh, the soundtrack is ripping. And
Yeah.
honestly, I don't think it's the sound that's on the 4K disc is a
Mm,
really good Dolby DTS master. It's a 5.1 master. I
mm,
think it's the original one that came out with the film. I don't know that they did a lot of work to it, but it's a really good use. It's not a movie that has a lot of effects.
right.
So the surround sound just needs to be like this person, like you hear Johnny walk through the room, right? Like
Okay.
you hear the door open, like
Yeah.
it's subtle in its use of directionality, but it's a really nice, like the sound, the way that the vocalizations come across is like so crisp.
Cool.
It feels like somebody had a microphone right outside of the camera frame constantly, like the subtle mumbling of her father when he's disappointed, right? Like
Mm,
there's a microphone. It's got to be he's framed so tightly. It's like three
yeah.
inches from the top of his head in order to capture any of that. That
Sure.
wasn't an ADR.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's impressive. I was really surprised to go back and visit it and have it affect me as much as it did.
Awesome.
So continuing down the rabbit hole of
Yeah.
older films, I got a chance to go. So I live in Manassas, Virginia, and I realized recently, by doing a little bit of research, that the Library of Congress has a campus where it's the audio-visual campus. It's called the Packard campus, and they have a theater that they show films at. But
Very
I
cool.
got there and I met the curator and the guy who does the restorations and
Whoa.
curates the films. So I got a little bit of inside baseball and got to chat with him, and it was super fun. I was like, oh yeah, I'm so excited. I live like 50 minutes away, and he's like, if you ever want to show anything, as long as it's not like X-rated or will get me in trouble, like I'll see if we got it in storage and we'll pull it out and we can put it on the schedule. And like,
What? That's
yeah, so
awesome.
like the film I went to see was To Sir with Love, which is Sidney Poitier's third film in 1967, right? Like
Wow.
it is his popcorn film. It's the one
Right.
where he gets to go and be the teacher, right? Blackboard
Mhm.
Jungle. He is the upstart kid. He may have been 30 when he was the upstart kid, but
Right.
this is the movie where he gets to go back to school as the teacher and deal with these like roughneck kids in London, right? Like
Mhm.
in a rough area in London. And what was super cool is talking to the person who's the executive director. This is a restored. This is theirs. So it's an
Wow.
original print from '67, and they've done as much cleanup as they can, but it's an original print from '67. So there are some dings. There's definitely some scratches. But it's
Wow.
the original print that played in a movie theater.
Oh my gosh.
And you can see the original like cigar mark in the top
Uh-huh.
right corner to let them know,
Yeah.
but it's like neon green. So like
Mhm.
it seems like the chemicals over time have changed it slightly. But it was just so charming to like chat with him. And it was a 35 millimeter print in the original like IB Technicolor. So
Mhm.
the warmth that came across, because they have these great projectors there, but also these prints held up and they're treated really well. One of the things he said was the storage location that is this facility
Mhm.
has the largest collection of nitrate film in the world.
Oh man,
Anything
no
pre
one's no one light a
1951.
cigarette around that.
So,
Jeez.
but that's they have this. So
Wow.
yesterday they were going to be showing. They did two films on Saturday. One was going to be Love, which is the Greta Garbo film from 27,
Wow.
and they were going to have a live pianist and
Mhm.
to accompany it, and then they were going to show a Laurel and Hardy short to go with it, just like it
Cool.
was being shown in the 30s. Like
Uh-huh.
so neat.
That's
And
amazing.
he's just such a nice guy and so excited about where he was. But like this theater is not like your modern stadium theater. It's built
Mhm.
like a theater in the 50s or the 60s. So the seating is round is shaped in a round, but it's
Mhm.
not raked. So everybody is
Right.
on the same level, slight gradient, you know,
Yeah.
so it feels like a theater that you walked back into time.
That's so
And you
cool.
can't like have any food in there, no water in there. Like is really strict because it's a government
Wow.
facility. But
Yeah.
like it's also a theater that your
Yeah.
tax dollars pay for. I walked in
Wow.
and saw this film for free, which
Oh,
is
it's
amazing.
amazing.
Yeah,
Oh man, I would love to like see like some like silent films like with like a piano accompaniment or like an
yeah.
organ accompaniment. That would be really cool. Like or like like during Halloween, like take like nos like is it Nosferatu? No, Nos is it wait, what's the
The original black and white is
yeah.
Nosferatu. Yeah,
Yeah. Like imagine seeing that with like with just like an organ playing, you know, a live
yeah.
organ or something. That'd be so cool.
So it was my first
Well,
time seeing To Sir with Love. The movie is very charming.
mhm,
It's definitely of its era. There's a lot of jokes being made around his the fact that he's black. They
mhm,
constantly are making jokes about like you know, in order to get your kids in line, I hope you brought your black magic. Like there's lines dropped by
yeah,
the adults, by the
sure.
kids. But what's really unbelievable is it's really a movie about him showing the kids that if you treat yourself with respect and one another with respect, others will treat you with respect.
Mhm,
So he originally comes in to try to teach this class, which is the seniors, who are the eldest group in this school, and they're the troublemakers. They're like, you know, there's a kid named Denham who wears like a leather jacket and has greasy hair, but he's like he has all that, but he looks like a model. Like he's
mhm,
ridiculous, super handsome, like you know, kid. What's fun about the movie is he basically says like, guys, you're going to hopefully want to get married and you're going to be out there and women are going to become the most important thing in your life, which is very of its time. But the
mhm,
reality is he's like, you should take yourself seriously. You should polish your shoes. You should wash your hair. And then
right.
he makes a joke about to the ladies. He's like, you need to take care of yourself. Like, you know, if you're, I mean, again, very antiquated speech and patterns to talk about it. He says like, if you're slutty, no one's going to want to be with you. But it's more about like respect yourself. So he has all the men, all the male presenting characters in the movie are called by their last name, and all the female presenting characters are called Miss or Miss their last name.
Mm,
So they start calling him Sir. They have to either call him Sir or Mister Thatchet. Um, it's a really amazing film to see like this actor charm this class. Like he is this like poised elegance, and he talks about the fact that like he was poor and like he grew up, you know, speaking of patois, like not like this, and then he slides into his patois, and they're like, we can't understand any words you're saying, and he's like, of course, but with discipline you can learn anything, including changing how you speak. Like so it's a really great film. I think it's one that I have never seen before. So I got the experience of seeing like Sidney Poitier charm me on top of it.
mhm,
Like he's so eminently charming. But that's what this movie is all about. It's about like respect and about respecting one another. And even if you come up in an area where you may be in a racist environment, like you have to reckon with the fact that like this guy who seems like he's together is a black man, and you have to accept that. And the
mm,
whole point is like near the end, it's like To Sir with Love is a song that's sung to him by one of the students at the end to say thank you.
mm.
And it's really beautiful. But the print was gorgeous. The environment was gorgeous. It was such a cool experience to go. And my wife was game, and we went and had tacos at a place that's like
Nice.
7 minutes away, and just such a good experience. I'm so looking forward to revisiting.
I think there might be a Geek on Film collaboration happening over there.
I think it's possible. So there is a secret Facebook fan page called A Fan of the Packard Campus that if you want to follow or check it out, and you happen to be in the DMV area, I'm already a member of it. So if you know me, you can find it through me. But
Cool.
yeah, it was super cool. Like there was a photo taken of the audience and of the film, and it was like, this is a packed audience. This is a great show. And I
Mhm.
responded, and I was like, this is our first time, and we had such a great time. Thank you so much. and he was like, "It was so nice to meet you," and like, someone was like, "It was very nice to meet you," you know.
Right.
But yeah,
Very
super
cool.
fun. I can't wait to go back.
Nice.
Next month is going to be all Broadway to the screen.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Very
so
cool.
he's gonna do I forget what it was. So there's like The Music Man, My Fair Lady, You Can't Handle the Truth. All the
Yeah. A Few Good Men.
A Few Good
Sorry.
Men. So there's like, I think they do a movie on Friday night and a afternoon matinee and then an evening on Saturday night.
Cool.
So I think there's like, 3 films a weekend, and it seems like their afternoons are either black and white or silent films. It seems to be the afternoon. So
Cool.
I'm just excited to continue to go. Like
Yeah.
it's like a great 51-minute drive. Like I couldn't be happier.
That's awesome, man. Very cool.
So I'll jump into Navalny, which is the documentary that takes place after Navalny. Navalny is a political dissident in Russia. He has a party that is anti-Putin and anti the current regime, and it's a documentary that's going to follow him as he's trying to become president. And the movie opens with him being asked by the documentarian, like, if you were to die or get put in prison, what is it you would like people to know? And he's like, and he laughs and he's like, how about we treat it like that I don't die?
Jeez, yeah.
Like it's but like this is something that like you have to deal with, and he had to deal with. And I was so impressed with this. Like I knew very little about Navalny as a man. He was sort of this caricature, and you spend this documentarian, I listened to an interview with the documentarian, and apparently he had like 300 hours of footage. He is one of those documentarians that basically just turns on the camera and will leave it for hours because he's like, you never know what's going to happen. Also, like there could be an old man could walk across in the background and a dog could run by and everything could be perfect, right? He's like, so that's the way I like to shoot documentaries. So him and his editor like went through the entire like the two of them spent so much of their time putting together this documentary. But again, because of that, he has all this footage. Like,
wow.
The big selling point is it is about Navalny gets poisoned while he's on a plane. He gets very sick and ends up in a hospital, and his wife is trying to get him out. So you get to meet his family. You get to see what he stands for, and his entire political team. Right, his like PR person and his chief of staff. And it's definitely a little bit of, I said this in my tweet about it, like it's a little bit of myth making for sure, right? Like Navalny knows that he's creating a story a little bit about who he is and about what he stands for. There's a great line where he's been out cold from probably a poisoning, and his chief of staff comes in and says to him out loud, because he keeps talking to him, you were poisoned and it was this drug, and it's probably Putin. And he goes, and he apparently opened his eyes and he's like, how stupid. It's like he put his signature on it. If he wanted me dead, he should have shot me. Like there are easier ways to kill me. It's like you held up a billboard that said like, I tried to kill this man, And so it's definitely a little myth making, but like, he's really funny on top of like, he's charming. He's a big personality, and, but I was very impressed with the documentary. I was so impressed with like the storytelling, the, opening us up to knowing more about what's going on inside of Russia, in the non like refined output that we get. It's so unbelievable to see this like unvarnished sort of probably pro Navalny documentary, but seeing more of what's going on inside of a country we don't get a lot of access to.
Right.
And I won't talk about the ending or how it ends, but I think it is definitely one of those documentaries that is very likely to get it's nominated. I would not be surprised if it won. It's got it's on HBO Max. A lot of people are going to see it. It's with everything going on in the Ukraine, Russia is sort of top of lots of people's minds. This seems like a no-brainer to me, like for people to see it and be moved by it. And it's an easy thing to know who Navalny is and check that box on your Oscar ballot. I feel like.
I mean, just imagine the acceptance speech if it wins.
Yeah, it will be interesting for sure.
Yeah.
I'll jump over to Argentina 1985. This is a movie that is set. It is Argentina's submission to the Oscars International Films. and it is on the list. So it is an this is me trying to tick off boxes on Robbie's going to dominate the Oscars and see every film this year. I'm now
Your
down to
Oscar
15. I'm getting
your
there.
Oscar pool is gonna like you better pick all the winners, my friend.
It'll be really funny. I'm definitely hosting an Oscars party in the name of Geek on Film at my house,
Mhm.
and I'm going to take one of the ballots and I'm going to make it a Geek on Film ballot, and I'll have them
Nice.
available to all the people. But yeah, if I lose this, I'm going to get mocked because it's going to be all friends. So Argentina 1985. We'll talk a little bit about the story, but I think the bigger one here is this is not any history that I was aware of. I did not know what was going on in Argentina
Mm.
in the 1978 to 1983 time period, which is what a lot of this movie focuses on. And I said this to Amy, I feel like it expects you to have this historical knowledge. So it is made, I think, with the lens of probably an audience from Argentina. So
Mhm.
interesting that it is now jettisoned out to a much wider audience than I think it was originally intended for, or that they thought about when they wrote the original script based on this real life situation.
Mhm.
I think it needed like 10 minutes of setup in the beginning to get me more invested. So the first hour is so it's really getting to know the individuals that are going to be important to the story, but I didn't know what the story was. So you really meander in that first hour, not feeling guided by the storytelling. And then when there's a big court case, which is what it eventually leads to. And
Mhm.
that court case, as they're pulling the court case together and as they start to go to court and you get to hear some actual trial, some people being deposed, you get more and more of the story. So it becomes more obvious where we're going. And I felt like I just needed like a 5 minute synopsis of like Argentina 1975 to 1983 would have been fantastic. Like,
Mm.
coming out of this, giving a little bit of a nod to those of us who are not familiar with the history of Argentina.
Yeah.
But the last hour of the movie is really fantastic. It's like 2 hours and 10 minutes. I definitely was brought to tears. There's an amazing speech at the end. The closing
Wow.
arguments on the case brought me to tears. It's so unbelievably well crafted as a story, but you realize it's real. Like on top of everything else, like this is real. Like
Mhm.
and you got to see an awful lot of photos of the people that the characters are based on. And I will say, like, this is a movie that probably should have been nominated for casting. When you look at who's in this movie and how they look and close to what people like appear, the costumes are fantastic. Like they're again, it's another one that's set in a specific time period. So all the suits that the main character wears are these like beautiful heavy wool suits that would have been like 1970s, early 80s suits. And he's a lawyer, he's a prosecutor, so he's not rich, but he makes a living. So he
Mhm.
has a huge amount of suits that he goes through. But you realize he's wearing like a suit with a sweater and sometimes a suit and a vest, and but every aspect of it felt like real. Again, this is another one of those things like you're trying to tell me a story about something that is relatively historically accurate. I was set in the world. Like
Mhm.
once I got past that first hour, I was in. It was like I was watching news footage, and I was really impressed.
Wow. Cool.
It's a hard sell for that first hour for me, but like
Yeah.
after that, I feel like it's a movie that probably would have been a 4-star film if it had had a little more for me in the first hour. But even still, it's a 3.5-star film for me. Like it's such a powerful performance, and
Wow.
the final 20 minutes is just devastating.
Wow. From one. So that's nominated, or what is it? Or
Yeah, it's nominated for Best International Film.
cool. Well, I
And it's
think
in Portuguese, and the subtitles are really good. There's
cool.
also, if you watch it on Amazon Prime, it's also dubbed. There's, I think, 10 languages it's dubbed into on Amazon Prime. But do yourself a favor, read the screen. It's worth it.
Mhm.
They do a really good job of trying to pace out what's written on the screen and how things are said sometimes. So sometimes it'll be like a person talking and something written on the screen, and they'll give you like the first sentence, then what's written on the screen, then more.
Mhm.
So I think this is one where the subtitles really worked.
I want to do a little bird walk about Amazon Prime really quick. I really enjoy watching things on Amazon Prime on my streaming television
Yes.
because if you just click a button to kind of activate like the fast forward stop button and stuff like that, I think it's very cool that whoever's on screen at that very moment, their IMDb information comes up on the screen. I think that's very cool. Obviously, Amazon, I'm pretty sure, owns IMDb, so that's why they can do that. But just a
Well, it's
little
also
side note.
the technology. The way they describe it is called X-ray. So it's
Hmm.
sort of it's an X-ray of the scene. So sometimes it'll even have like products that are in this. If you're watching something that's like modern, it may
Hmm.
even have like the product that's on the screen. It's really interesting how much metadata there must be in those Amazon Prime streams to
Hmm.
make that available, because it's
Yeah.
definitely being rendered locally. You know.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, the X-ray is really neat, especially if you're like, I think this person is who I think it is. You know, like uh,
Exactly.
this the second episode of Poker Face, the person who owns the garage. So there's a name that comes up in the trailer in the intro to the show, and it's
Hmm.
John Ratzenberger, and I'm like, I'm not sure where I see him, and then you hear him say something near like the third act of this, and he's been on camera a couple of times, and I'm like, that's John Ratzenberger. That's amazing.
Wow.
Like, and it's such a fun because his voice is his voice, right? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's so Cliff, and like he has this really great line, but like earlier in the episode, every time he spoke, it didn't have that like the sort of ramp up like that, you know, the he's trying to inject himself into a conversation, so it
Hmm.
feels like that Cliff Clavin energy, and I was like, oh my god, I feel like a warm hug right now, like seeing John Ratzenberger on screen and in something, not as a voice in
Yeah.
an animated film. This is amazing, you know.
That's cool. That's very cool.
Yeah.
Um, uh, Going from one Oscar nominated film to something that I think got snubbed a little bit.
Oh yeah.
You wanted to talk a little bit about the Woman King,
Yeah,
which
so
is
The
now
Woman
available
King
on Netflix. So
is now on Netflix. It's a Sony Pictures film. So there was some question about when it was going to be released. So Sony has a deal with Netflix, and there was a question because Sony has other films that they were pushing, I think, harder for the awards nominations. So there was
Mhm.
a question about when it was going to be released, you know, digitally and streaming. So the VOD came out pretty quickly, but when it was going to land on its digital home for those of us who have Netflix was a big question, and it dropped this past week. So it is now available on Netflix in America, and it's a film I saw by myself that my wife had always wanted to see, and we've
Mhm.
gone back and forth. Like we almost got it on VOD a couple of times, but now that it's available, I literally there's like two films that are sitting in a queue of things that she didn't see that I saw that she would like to watch. So
Cool.
this and She Said are the two that we keep going. Like every time we're trying to figure out if we have enough time to watch a movie, those are two right now that
Uh-huh.
over the last week we've been, you know, juggling, and I'm excited to revisit She Said.
Uh-huh.
I think I talked about it pretty positively, seeing it coming out of Middleburg, but
Mhm.
I'd like to see it again. I'm
Sure.
ready. And the Woman King, she hadn't seen, and I was just blown away revisiting this movie. That how powerful Viola Davis's character is,
Yeah.
but
Totally.
Lashana Lynch and
Yes.
there's so many amazing performances in this movie,
Mhm.
and she at one point, like I paused to go to the bathroom, and my wife is just like, why wasn't this nominated? And I'm like, I don't know, like
Yeah.
you know, I don't have a good answer, because honestly I think those two are pretty easy nominations, and a path to seeing those two. But you could also say the female lead of the movie, or the second lead, who is the
Mhm.
young warrior, she
Mhm.
theoretically could have been best supporting actress. I think there's a male supporting actor that could have been a part of this. That is the
Yeah.
villain. Like I
Yeah.
think his performance is fantastic
I
and
thought
powerful, and
I don't know if John Boyega deserved a nomination or whatever, but he's fantastic in the movie.
yeah, it's also one of those films that could have easily gotten an ensemble nod, right? Like from SAG,
Yes.
or there's so much going on in this film, and I was just really excited to revisit it. And a nod I will give Netflix. It's released on Netflix with Dolby Vision and Dolby
Oh,
Atmos, so the
nice.
sound is really good. My television is HDR 10 plus. It is not Dolby Vision because it's a Samsung, but the HDR is pretty good. I think it almost felt like one of my complaints was that the sky seemed a little washed out when I saw it originally. This may have
Mhm.
been at the tail end of my Regalness. I think when I was with Regal, and I felt like the visuals were almost better on Netflix, which is very bad for Regal. Like
Right.
if I
But
could say
also
that,
very possible.
yeah.
So,
I was really impressed revisiting this film. It's emotional and moving,
yeah.
and beautiful. Like it's such a tough story. It's told so well. I still think after watching it a second time, taking out the love component, or the the possible love story, is not necessary.
Right.
It doesn't
Gotcha.
move the story along very much. It doesn't have that much of an impact. I think it kind of actually is a little bit to the detriment of the story that's trying to be told about these strong and powerful women warriors, right? Like,
Mhm.
um, but I think overall, this is a really solid 4-star film that has amazing performances in it. Like,
Yeah.
I cannot get over how powerful Viola Davis is. The
Yeah.
scenes where you see her become emotional, she's this rock and she's stoic, and then you get to see her like break down, and
Mhm.
but it's only with people she trusts, like her sisters, basically. Like,
Yeah.
there's an amazing allegory here for family, and I think it's the family can sometimes be the people you choose, and these female warriors are family. They're a sisterhood, and you can feel it, right? And
Mhm.
there's these deep ties that bind them to one another, and it's beautiful. I'm so even the final sequence where they're pouring water at a spot that is supposed to be like for someone who fell, and Viola Davis's character comes in and says like, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "I'm pouring water out for this person." And she's like, she didn't want that. And she puts down a bottle of whiskey. And like,
Mhm.
it's really funny. It's like that one moment of like, you see Viola Davis knows who her character, like the character that's gone, and knew who she was, right? Like,
Yeah.
and it's interesting because whiskey is something that they didn't have in Africa, that was brought by the white man. And it's one of the few things that like some of the women in this tribe picked up upon, right? Like, and it's like at one point she's drinking, one of the characters is drinking out of a flask, and she's just like, yeah, so one thing that white men brought here that I like, or something like that. Like, it's just so many little throwaway pieces that add to the charm and the feeling, the natural feel of the story that's being told.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. Great movie.
Yeah, and it was really fun to revisit. And it's one that like it's a heavy subject matter, but like it has a pretty easy natural break. Like there are like three big like sequences that are big battle sequences. So it's
Mhm.
it's even the kind of thing like I would like you to put down your phone and not second screen when you're watching films. This is a
Right.
film that like an hour in, 40 minutes in, you can absolutely pause it and go to the bathroom and get a snack. Right. This is a movie that has those sort of almost natural breaks for the
Yeah.
audience. So, like it releases tension a little bit. It gives you a second to breathe because it's such heavy subject matter. But also the battles are like exhausting because
Mm.
the camera is like in with the battle and in next to the fighters, right? Like
Yeah.
you're lost in the sauce, which I think is really a smart move here, especially because one of the battles takes place at night. So you have this like it's almost like the screen is like alive, right? Like everything is moving at once by being into the battle sequences and not pulling far back. So not
Mhm.
having normally, right, like battle sequences and dance sequences, you tend to want to pull back so you can see the full body because especially dance has less impact if you can't see the whole thing. And I think
Mhm.
similarly, battle sequences tend to be shot similarly. This is one where I feel like the individual fights that you get to be a part of are so much more important than the overall battle that's happening. You're
Yeah.
telling the story through these individual fights. And I think some of those nighttime shoots looked really good on my television, which I felt like they were a little dark when I saw them in the theater. And then there's one battle that takes place in the morning, and the sky felt very washed out to me, and
Mhm.
it muted the colors. I feel like for that entire fight sequence, and it didn't feel as muted when I watched it at home this time. So
I I
it's interesting the experience.
It's interesting. I think those were your critiques when we had that movie as our main review. I think the those were kind of the issues.
Yeah,
Maybe it was a real problem, not a.
I think it was my experience was very tainted by the environment I saw it in.
Mhm. Yeah, interesting. Awesome, man. Well, without further ado, I think we should maybe get into the quantum realm. Talk about the new movie from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania just came out.
Yep.
Um,
Gonna get a lot of Scrabble points for the title. There's a lot going on there.
so that about speaking of the title, one of my favorite parts about this whole situation, this whole movie, this whole situation. I don't know where I was going there. One of my favorite parts was like literally as the movie's ending. They kind of do this now where like you don't see the title of the movie till the end. In these,
Yeah,
they especially, I know a lot of movies do that, but I think they especially do that in the Marvel movies now. So like Ant-Man starts like like it appears on the screen, and then the Q, the U, the I, and the A appear around. I'm like, oh my god, I never realized that Ant-Man is inside Quantumania. I don't even know if Quantumania is an actual word, but whatever. It's probably a lot of words if it's allowed in Scrabble, by the way. But anyway,
Yeah.
so
So tell us what is the plot of this movie, John?
oh my gosh. Okay, strap in. So, pretty much, so Hope Van Dyne and
Hank Pym.
Hank Pym. Well, no, not Scott Lang.
Okay.
Hope Van Dyne and Scott Lang are riding high on the horse post um, being Avengers, or Scott Lang is especially. They're all living in San Francisco. Hope Van Dyne is now, head of the Pym company, and she's doing amazing things with Pym Tech. And Scott is writing a writing a book and kind of like resting on the laurels of being like an Avenger who saved everybody. And we now have Cassie Lang, who is Scott's daughter, who has been in the previous ones, but is now played by Catherine Newton. She's grown up. She is, she is hanging out with Janet Van Dyne and Hank Pym, and trying to be a social justice crusader. Is that a derogatory thing to say? So
I
I
think
think
she cares a lot about helping people who are having problems,
yes.
and she has been spending some quality time with her surrogate grandfather, Mr. Hank
Mhm.
Pym, and he may have hooked her up with, her own suit,
Yes.
so she can shrink.
Yeah. So then they want to talk about like Michelle Pfeiffer, who wonderfully plays Janet Van Dyne, the original Wasp, never wants to talk about her time being trapped in the quantum realm for 30 years. But Cassie Lang has created a beacon to kind of explore the quantum realm from, Earth 616, or I don't remember what the Earth, wherever we are as
Hmm.
far as the MCU goes. I don't know what number they're giving that, if it's 616 or not. Regardless, they turn it on. Janet Van Dyne freaks out. All of a sudden, madness ensues. Everyone gets sucked into the quantum realm, and then it becomes Thor Ragnarok.
Then at that point, you have the two groups of people get separated. So you have
Right.
Paul Rudd and Cassie, his daughter,
Hmm.
and you have
And then
Evangeline Lilly, Michael Douglas, and Michelle Pfeiffer together.
yep.
And yeah,
So in the quantum realm,
mhm.
there are, we're actually, this is the first time that we're really exposed to the quantum realm. We've seen it in other movies here and there,
Yep.
but we're introduced to the inhabitants, the population of the quantum realm. We kind of are told, obviously, that the quantum realm is multi-layered. Um, and before the movie even starts, like the first initial scene, uh, we kind of flash to Janet Van Dyne during her time being stuck in the quantum realm, and she meets Jonathan Majors' character, Kang slash
Yep.
Kang the Conqueror. And then we spend most of the movie in the quantum realm. It's
Yes.
oh my gosh, we're lost. We have to get back together. And we're
Yep.
going to meet a lot of interesting characters along the way. And we're not going to talk about the bad guy in the movie because we're afraid to talk about him, kind of thing.
Yes.
It's a
There's a
little
lot
bit of
of
a,
allusion to that.
yeah,
He knows about things. Obviously, he knows you're here. There's a lot of that going on.
yeah. Um, yeah. So, yeah, I don't,
So I think the big one here is Kang appears, his ship crashes into the quantum realm, and we see more and more that
mhm,
that Janet and Kang spend a lot of time together, and they get to know each other really well. It's pretty obvious that she's told him all about her husband and her
mhm,
kid, and there's an allusion to the fact that like the last thing she did was lie to her daughter because she left the house.
Mhm.
And at that point, Kang basically tells her, like, I can fix this.
Yeah.
I can bring you back there the moment. So they're working on his ship, which is supposed to be able to allow this to happen.
Yeah.
Um,
And he is. We have met Jonathan. Jonathan Majors has appeared as this character before in the Loki series,
as
um, as a
the
version.
the man at the end of the universe, the what's this? Which one is he?
The unnamed
The end
something
of
or other.
time.
Yes, but so we're kind of gleaming information from the Loki series, very little, but the idea of variants and the idea that there are, like there are Kangs in multiple different timelines, dimensions, things like that. And this particular Kang has been exiled to the quantum realm, so that because then uh, he's stuck there and he's trapped almost in a bubble, out of time, out of dimensions, and things like that.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, Jenna Van Dyne gives him the power to escape, but then she kind of takes it away. And now that they're back in the quantum realm, Kang wants to use them to finally escape.
So the character he's
Um,
playing in the
in
Loki
Loki.
incarnation is He Who Remains.
Hmm.
So he is a variant of Kang that has made it all the way to what appears to be the end of the universe, the end of all time. So
Hmm.
he's seen everything.
Yeah.
And one of the things he talked about was the fact that, like, he had basically was the one who was pruning timelines down, so there was a sacred timeline
Hmm.
because that was the only way this would that the multiverse would survive because of all the other Kangs. So they were all out of control. So this timeline he was making was basically the sacred timeline, and he was pruning any variants that happened off of that one in Loki, right?
Hmm.
So there's he had created the TVA, right, the Time Variance Authority.
Right. Um. So, I mean, initial thoughts. You have initial thoughts on the movie now
Yeah,
that we've kind of butchered the plot a little bit, but
yeah, I think so. The movie opens with seeing Scott Lang, and you get a chance to see. It feels a lot like an Ant-Man movie. Like Scott's walking through
yes.
San Francisco, right? Like he's sort of smiley and high fiving a kid with an Ant-Man backpack, and
Mhm.
it's in the trailer. He gets called Spider-Man by the local coffee shop guy, who thanks him for
Yeah.
saving the planet and gives him a free cup of coffee. And, and there's a great Baskin Robbins joke where he's now the employee of all time or something
The
like that.
century. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
century. There's a lot of nods towards sort of Scott Lang and Paul Rudd's incarnation of Scott Lang,
Hmm.
and it's cute and fun. And then you end up in this very quickly, probably 7-8 minutes into the movie, really like sucked into the quantum
Super
realm.
fast.
Yeah,
Super fast.
and
Yeah.
then, like John was saying, like there's two groups, right? And they're you spend a lot of time trying to get them together. So
Hmm.
this is a movie that is like it's part journey movie, it's part small pack movie. It's a little bit about Janet having to be honest with her daughter and with Hank,
Hmm.
and that leads to some shenanigans and fun. I think my biggest takeaway was, as charming as Paul Rudd is, I think the most charming actor in this movie was Michael Douglas's Hank Pym. I think he's such a movie star that I was
Hmm.
like, I'm kept comparing Paul Rudd to Michael Douglas and the Hank Pym of it all, right? Like when you
Sure.
think about the premise of this movie, Kang's the core that controls his ship is blown up by Janet. She
Hmm.
explodes it, and she uses Pym particles to do it. And so Kang has now been here for millennia and built an
Yes.
entire like world that is powered by him. And the one thing he can't do is shrink back this core. So if you think about it, the Kang may be the most powerful character in the Marvel universe, and he can't create Pym particles, right? Hank
Mm.
Pym is still like there's still something unique about Hank, and I feel like they didn't lean in hard on this, but every time I would really reconcile with the story that's being told, I'm like, good lord, right? This guy, Hank Pym, who's got a checkered past in the comics and is
Oh,
being
very checkered
embodied
past.
by Michael Douglas, and he is smart and extremely charming and extremely competent. Like every scene with him feels like it's on very sure footing. Like
Mhm.
this is I want to watch more of this. I'm drawn to him. And that is to go in the other direction also. Evangeline Lilly is a beautiful woman. I enjoyed her on Lost. I've seen her on lots of things. Michelle Pfeiffer is a freaking movie star. She is
Mhm.
so charming and effervescent and powerfully sad. And this movie had two friggin' movie stars that overshadowed the leads.
Well,
And I think that is one of the big problems in this movie is that I felt like the story of Hank and Janet was more powerful and important than the story of Hope and
interesting.
Scott and Cassie.
Yeah, I definitely can see that, and I agree. Like it was, and it's not that like we have seen like Michelle Pfeiffer was introduced in the second movie, I believe, and Michael Douglas has been on since the beginning.
Yep. And
Um,
I think the first movie, Michael Douglas kind of phones it in. He
yeah,
doesn't feel like he's involved and invested in any way, shape, or form. Like, I'm not saying Michael Douglas is always great. In this
no,
movie, Michael
totally.
Douglas friggin' rules. Like,
You
he's
know,
so good in this movie.
and I'm curious, also because I don't remember. I mean, we could look it up, but this particular Ant-Man movie is written by um, Jeff Loveness, and one of his major writing credits is Rick and Morty.
Yes.
So I'm like, wait, so it's Paul Rudd Morty
Well,
and
the snake is eating its
Michael
own
Doug?
tail, right? Like, when it comes down to it, because Rick and Morty is heavily influenced by the comic books of Jack Kirby. So,
Sure,
like,
yeah, that and Back to the Future, yeah,
right,
definitely.
but like what if you start to think about it, right? The wackiness that is the multiverse is
Hmm.
based on
Totally,
Kirby's ideas, right? Like
right.
whether it's the New Gods or about all this stuff that he wrote in Marvel, but like
Hmm.
there's a really interesting play here of like someone feeling like they're making a copy of a copy to me. Like
Sure.
this story didn't feel e- as epic as it could, and also just felt like it fell short. Like there's a lot of shorthand in the story that was being told for us to get to know the quantum realm. Like, yes, there were goofy and weird creatures, and there was this, and there was, but it didn't feel unique to me. It felt like space. It didn't
Yeah.
feel like it had its own quantumness. You
Well,
know?
yes, I think the thing that the reason why I kind of made that like really bad joke that all of a sudden it becomes Thor Ragnarok is because in Thor Ragnarok there are crazy species filling the background in that movie, but
Yep.
they all seemed like they were organic and it worked as far fetched and as colorful as they were.
Yep.
In this, I was like, I don't understand the logic of this world. Like, why is this dude with like a glass funnel tube head able to shoot? Like, what is this guy, and what is this guy, and what is the broccoli head guy? And then why
Yep.
is this like Amazonian here, and there's no other Amazonians? And then why is William Jackson Harper all of a sudden a telepath?
Right.
Uh,
Yeah. I mean,
is
Quaz as a character is. Are we going to see more Quaz? Like, this is the other thing. We're
knows?
kind of blowing good actors like that, right? Like,
Mhm.
this is like if you know there was some talk of William Jackson Harper possibly being Reed Richards at one point, right?
It
Like,
would have been
or
cool if like
Quasar,
yeah,
right? There's a
for
lot of
sure.
characters he could have been that there was a lot of speculation around, and it's interesting to have him play a character named Quaz, which
Mhm.
we probably aren't going to see again.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, uh, my so y- I what I'm my roundabout logic here is that I think that Thor Ragnarok did it better than if I had to compare with like these like
Yes.
far off lands and introducing all these different species.
Yep.
And I understand like the quantum realm is supposed to be like inside. There's like a insular. It's like like it's not outer space.
Yep.
But man, oh man, this movie was dull. Like, as in, like, there's the lighting; it's very dark.
Yep.
My wife and I saw it in 3D, which I don't think helped it at all
I
because
saw it in 3D. I think it also hurt it. Yeah, I'm with you.
yeah, I don't think there was nothing that the 3D enhanced. And if usually when you see 3D movies, like I remember when I saw um, the first Thor movie in 3D, like it was horrible looking, and I don't think 3D helps this movie at all. But
Yeah, I saw
Um,
not Winter Soldier, Captain America: The First Avenger in
yeah,
3D, and it was a terrible experience. Like
yeah,
it was like there was a gray cloud over the entire screen.
yeah,
This didn't experience that as much, but it was just dull. It kind
yeah,
of took all the luster out of what this film should have felt like, in my opinion.
yeah. And I get that, like they're like, yeah, it's like a pocket dimension, or like the quantum realm or whatever. But and there's like no sun or whatever, also. But I don't know, man. It was just like there wasn't a lot of joy in this movie. It was a
No,
lot of like, I'm scared of Kang. I'm scared of Kang. Everyone's scared, scared, scared. And then it's like, and then you know what? Halfway through the movie, I started conspiracy theorizing that Disney actually tanked Strange World because
it feels a
it's
lot like
it's
Strange
it's too
World.
much like Strange World. And
Yeah.
they're like, and I was like, oh, maybe it's not that, like, like other people, it's like blame other countries for not showing Strange World, but like maybe you're just tanking it because you want to bank more on Ant-Man and the Wasp, because like the aesthetic is very,
The difference
very
is
similar.
Strange World was vibrant and felt
Yeah,
like it made sense.
yeah,
There was less on the screen too. Like
uh-huh.
even in an animated film, this film has so many characters that are not there, that are being rendered in the background, that I was
Mhm,
constantly like, there's maybe four real people here. Like,
mhm,
why are you trying to draw my attention away from what's going on in this foreground right now? There are
mhm.
scenes where there's like 30 or 40 actors or characters on screen, and they're all, but like, for a fact that they shot this in basically the volume on steroids, and there's probably
Yes,
four actors there, right? Like,
yes. I
so much
think.
of it I kept getting caught in the sauce, right? Like
Mhm,
in the 3D, there was also a bad render early on when you saw a character on the back of a creature, and the outline didn't match. There was a
mm,
bad render. I
okay.
don't know what happened, but it did not look like it belonged in the universe, and I was really taken aback. I'm like, God, I don't want to think about how you make these movies, and I
Yeah,
should be lost in this movie. And I kept getting torn out of the movie because of the little things like that, where, quickly I'm like, I don't really care about any of those people over there, but they're all in camera trying to take, like, vying for my attention, and they're just background characters.
yeah. Like the volume is starting to make me nervous that it's being used more and more, because yes, I think it worked and it works for the Mandalorian, but like like what we're talking about is it's like a digital sound, it's like a digital background,
Yep.
um in a sound stage. And they used that for this. The Peyton Reed, the director, directed many episodes of The Mandalorian, so he
Yep.
was probably like, "Oh well, let's use the volume." I don't know, man. I'm nervous about using it, because I don't know. There's something about this movie that I think I don't know if blaming the volume is the right thing, but there was just a lot of things that I think were off and missed in this movie.
Yep.
um, and a lot of people are saying that, like, this is just a delivery system to get Kang into the Marvel Cinematic Universe as the big bad. But also, I don't know if that was the right turn. I mean, you and I have sung Jonathan Majors' praises, and we have
Yeah.
praised him, especially in the upcoming movie, Magazine Dreams.
It got
I'm very
acquired. It's going to be a
right.
Searchlight
Yeah,
film. It got
yeah.
acquired. It's coming, buddy.
Yeah, so I'm very excited for that. I'm
Yeah.
still very excited for Creed 3. I have to be honest, I was kind of like on the fence of what was happening in this movie with him as Kang the Conqueror, and moving forward with some of the stuff we saw, I was like, I'm really nervous about what's gonna happen in with Kang the Conqueror. Um, I don't know if you want to talk to that, or if I can just keep babbling. It's up to you.
I think so. My big concern was, uh, at some point we have to talk spoilers, so we should
Yeah.
think
Oh,
about when we're going to
absolutely.
do that.
Let's
I
just
think,
let's just drop the. Let's just
yeah, let's
say
say from
from
here on
moving
out,
forward.
thank you so much for being with us. If you don't want to have this movie spoiled for you, please rate and review us all the places, geekonfilm.com, on Twitter, Instagram. But spoilers, spoilers, spoilers. We're going to talk about the finale of this movie and then the two post-credit scenes, which I think is
Mhm.
what this movie was. So John mentioned that this is a vehicle to get Kang into the universe. I think this movie is a vehicle to get the last two post-credit scenes into your eyeballs, so you're ready for the next movie and the next television show.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
That's really what it feels like to me. So I listen to a lot of film podcasts. I think I've listened to 6 or 7 so far this week about Ant-Man and the Wasp. Matt over at The Next Big Picture made me laugh because he's frustrated by the MCU and their movies at this point, it feels like. And one of the things he said was like, so Kang, the most powerful villain in the universe, was taken out by ants. So ants took out Kang. Why do I care about this guy? And we have more of him. So
we've got much.
Do I not care about this version of him? I thought this was the Conqueror. Like, and it's interesting because like he, I think is hitting on something that I think is going to be a big problem for the non-MCU canon people that aren't up to date on television shows, that don't know a little bit of the backstory, because this movie is going to land with a thud for people who don't know who Kang is and didn't like, even if you watched Loki, the allusion to Kang is there, right? It is one of the least well discussed variants in the comics. He's always there, but not someone whose main stories are written around. And he alludes to the other Kangs, but like it's illusion. It's all illusion. And this movie was supposed to set us up for the big bad for this phase. And this big bad got taken down by big ants.
Well, they were also like, sent apparently.
Sure,
sent
yeah, they were
1,000-year-old quantum realm ants and stuff.
Yeah, they're socialists, techno rants.
Right.
But like it's so interesting that is what this movie ends with, right? Like you end with Kang basically can stop, and the other part, and we should have said this before the spoilers. There's also no scope to give you an idea of how big things are because this all takes place in the quantum realm. So Giant Scott is very hard to figure out how big he is because there's no scale, because it's not set in something that is giving you an understanding of scale, because nothing exists and there's no reference points.
Yes.
It's just Scott Lang.
Well, I have a lot of I have a lot of questions about logic in general, and I know we're talking about a superhero movie, blah blah blah, but so in the normal universe, in we're just like in Earth 616, like the Ant-Man and the Wasp, they shrink or get bigger.
Yep.
But then when they get taken into the quantum realm, which makes them microscopic, they can still get smaller than microscopic in the quantum realm.
And big Ant-Man is how big? Like half a centimeter? Like what? There's no scale that makes any sense.
Yes. And then since when is it safe for you to be super big, Scott Lang, and take your helmet off?
Yeah.
I thought the whole point was like you have to keep the helmet on and the suit gets big and you're like in the suit.
Yeah.
But like,
and also it's supposed to probably regulate his oxygen at that point, right?
Yeah.
Like there's so many logic things that are rough. And also the ants is funny, right? Like I've been singing the praises of Michael Douglas. Michael Douglas, the friggin' guerrilla leader of the ant army, showing up with a red scarf around his neck. He looks so cool.
Coat, and he's like, sorry. I was like,
badass. Yeah. He's like, I'm sorry it took me so long. I was getting my ant buddies. Like,
it's the Rick Sanchez character.
Yes.
It's like if he just like took a swig of booze and burped, he would have been.
He's like, come on, Morty. Scott. Let's just let the ants take care of it.
I want to talk about MODOK really quick.
Oh God. Okay.
What you were saying about the character riding the beast,
yes,
I feel is the same thing that happens on the initial reveal of MODOK. So for people who aren't listening,
we need a hashtag justice for Corey Stoll.
He got paid and he got paid and he had fun. I think
I'm sure he had fun, but boy,
and honestly, dude, I don't even think. To be honest, I think he just lent his voice, and then it was just performance capture of someone else. To be honest,
very possible.
But so MODOK is this like giant head robot thing. he had a failed Hulu TV show that was stop motion animation. And now he's in
MODOK
the
is a character that is very beloved, especially because
because
MODOK is
he's so
very
weird.
easy to throw into animation, and
Mm.
the character's so over the top and so caricaturesque that he's often used in cartoons where kids are likely going to watch it. So my feeling is there's a
As a
ton of
villain.
affection. What's that?
As a villain, yeah.
Yeah, as a villain.
He's
I feel
not
like
he's
there's a
not a good
ton
guy.
of affection for MODOK the character because of so many people being exposed to MODOK in video games and in cartoons. I mean, the original MODOK character is scary in the comic books. Like,
Sure. Yeah.
he's not played as a joke, but in the cartoons and in the video games, there's always been this sort of hint of levity. Like, he is a killing machine, right?
Yes.
That's what he's a
He's
machine
got
only
he's got major
defined.
cred.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got major cred in like the geek world as like an awesome character
Yeah.
and also kind of awesomely hilarious. Look, I don't think they did a bad version of him, honestly. Like I thought he was one of the best parts about this movie because the movie was so dull and he brought like a little bit of like weird, awkward comedy to it.
Yeah.
I think that the origin of MODOK in the MCU, I think honestly kind of works.
It's
Um,
weird,
but
but yes. Yeah.
but I do think though the initial reveal of his face
Is
was
so
ruined by
ridiculous.
3D
Yeah.
because I was like, this is terrible looking.
Yeah.
But then later on down the line, it got a little better. But that first render when he takes like the like evil mask off of his giant face, I was like, oh whoa, why does this look that bad? And then it
Yeah.
started getting a little better. I kind of wanted more MODOK, you know. I don't
Yeah.
know, dude. It's like for all intents and purposes, like blah 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 quantum realm. This is a sci-fi space movie.
Yeah.
You know what? They're in space. Like this is a weird space universe.
Mhm.
And I don't know, it's just kind of like it
Well,
kind
and
of
it's
really fell
interesting.
flat.
MODOK feels like that character's in a different movie than the rest of the movie,
Mm,
whereas
yeah.
everything should have been a little bit more like MODOK, right? Like
Mm.
even the creatures that are in the Freedom Fighters, there's not a lot of goofy. There's the one character who
I
has
love
no
the
balls.
jelly character. Yeah, that MODOK and the jelly character might have been my favorite part of this movie.
Well, I mean, that doesn't surprise me. That is an actor that we really love.
Oh, who is? I didn't even check the
It's
credits.
David Demalchian.
What has he done?
He was in the first two Ant-Man movies
Oh
as
my god.
yeah, and he's Polka Dot Man.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's
So like
awesome.
he's the voice of that character.
Oh,
And
nice.
that character and MODOK are in the same film, it feels like,
Right.
and no one else is.
Yes. We needed more of them, to be honest.
Well, we needed
Um,
more of them sticking with that tone if that's the movie you're gonna make, right?
yeah.
Like
And I think
having
again,
Jonathan Majors play Kang as like a Shakespearean villain, basically, is rough because I think he made the choice to like have a very like calm demeanor and
yes.
deliberate tone when he's speaking. And I'll take
Mhm.
Jonathan Majors all day, right?
Sure.
But like you either have to match the movie to him or have him be a different version of that character. And we saw two post credit stingers, and one of them you got some of that wacky Jonathan Majors energy, right? We could have.
Mhm. Um, yeah, like and there's also moments, where I was like, okay, everyone's saying he's worse than Thanos. Josh Brolin didn't do anything, and he was scary. Like I obviously yes, like he was doing performance capture, so
Yep.
he had a lot of help. But that dude gave the driest, most monotone,
Yep.
sinister deliveries on everything because he's the big bad. He doesn't have to do anything, and I felt like I don't know if it's like a mixture of like writing, directing, and character actor input, but I just felt like Jonathan Majors was doing too much. And
We
then
also
when
don't
this,
know what his powers are,
yeah,
right?
oh
Kang's
gosh, he's just
powers
whatever
are
he wants.
right.
Yeah,
So like you have no idea what is going to happen when you see him put his hands together in front of it. Like there's no explanation. There's no assumption that you should say, I know this character has these powers. I know he is thousands and thousands of years old. His science is thousands and thousands of years advanced from what we have today. And that is a lot of what's going on here. But he basically has nuclear power blasts. And so why does anybody stand a chance? Even if there's thousands, like the imbalance of what his powers are comes from not defining them. And
but he
then
gets beat by
having
ants.
him lose, right? Like effectively.
So getting into even more spoilery territory. So the first end credit scene.
Yeah.
This is where I was like, I don't know if I'm in for this. I'm like, I don't know if I can do this.
Yeah,
so we get introduced to three other Kangs, and this is kind of so in Marvel comic continuity, just like any comic continuity, everything gets all wishy-washy, and these are kind of like the three possible origins of Kang throughout the years. He might have been an ancient Egyptian. He might have been. He's also Iron Lad from Young Avengers, so that was kind of that throwback. And then I don't know what that kind of
Immortus.
Weird.
That's Immortus. So it's supposed to be like so I think Rama Tut, which we meet, is Kang decides that he wants to be a pharaoh. So he goes back in time. But there's all kinds of like again, we're talking spoilers here. Like in reality, right, there is this nod to the fact that he's related to Mr. Fantastic. He is a Reed. And also he may be related to Doom. So like introducing him in the Ant-Man movie without any other context for any of this other story that is probably going to come is a questionable item for me. But yes, you now have three versions. So the first stinger opens with a Jonathan Majors character stepping out of the shadows and two more Jonathan Majors characters stepping out of. So if you are a person who's never understood or understands anything about Kang, you're like, that guy looks the same as the guy we just saw lose.
Yeah.
And now they're talking about that guy who just lost as the exiled.
Yeah. And dude, these like I don't think, and nor do I care if these three costumes we see are comic accurate. They're freaking terrible, and like
they're pretty comic accurate.
The Immortus one, I was like awkwardly kind of offended at because I was like getting a lot of like Fu Manchu, what's his face? I'm forgetting his. I was getting like early first appearance of like the Mandarin.
Yeah.
Kind of like like yellow face ish kind of offensiveness to it, and also not only that, but I was like, what is that weird snake voice that he's doing? I just like it. Just like after seeing like the what Jonathan Majors can do, I was like, dude, what's happening? What is happening here? And then we get like this, like, to me, I was like, oh, I feel like I'm back in like the Star Wars prequels, and it's like an arena scene, and you have this arena scene where like all these Kangs are showing up, and like none of them are like regal and menacing. They're all like dude bro, like excited, almost like savage. And I was like, where are we going? So yeah, I don't know, man. I honestly don't even know if people need to see this movie if they're like want to see the big event movies of this phase.
Yeah. It's confusing to me how this is all going to interconnect and how much of it's going to be important. I think the second stinger is more interesting to me. So I don't think the Kang the Conqueror that we met in Quantum Realm is dead. I think he will live on. I think we'll see him again. But to be defeated in the way that he was defeated is absurd or very, very strange to me. The second post-credit scene is we meet Victor Timely, who is an incarnation of Kang, who went back to the 1900s and is a futurist, basically. Think of like almost the way that like the Wizard of Oz treats the wizard treats people in Oz, right? Like he's utilizing technology you don't understand to create spectacle, and he's
It's
like
like very
got this
Nikola Tesla-y too, I
very
guess.
Tesla, yes.
Yeah.
And you see Jonathan Majors introduced as Victor Timely, which is yet another variant of Kang, and maybe the original Kang, the one who found a way to get out of the rat race of the Kangs and live in this world and help humans. So we then cut to the audience, and it's Loki and Mobius having a conversation about this is the guy, and he's like, he doesn't seem that bad, and he's like, he's really scary. And like again, how does an audience that doesn't really understand? So, and the previous one was about the Council of Kangs. So that is when they bring together all the Kangs across the multiverse. If you are a Rick and Morty fan, you should recognize this pattern because there is the Council of Ricks, which is taken directly from this idea. Right? What happens if you have the most powerful person across the multiverse and they constantly squash one another, and you have to eventually wrangle some of the bad ones? That's what you have here. And then with Victor Timely, you have this like very egalitarian version of Kang being set in sort of a early 1900s, like I think it's 1912 or something like that. Yeah, I'm very confused as to how people are going to take this. I know that the Rotten Tomatoes number has not been good on this. The Metacritic number hasn't been good on this. I don't see how this gets to be a big time success for Marvel.
Well, also, like they are. I don't know who is saying it, but you were hearing like, oh, there's like there's like an end game event in this movie, and I was like, what? A bunch of ants like coming over the hill to save the day? Like I don't know, man. Yeah, it's just I don't know, dude. I'm kind of like
it's hard. I don't want to be a hater, and I want to give these movies a chance. But I walked out of the theater and I was like, and this we could talk about all the trailers that we saw. Like I saw the trailer for Shazam: Fury of the Gods, and I'm like, I don't really care about that movie. Like it's gonna be fine, but like I don't really care about it. It's amazing how many movies I'm like, I guess like.
Yeah,
and then
Fast 10. I was like, oh gosh.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not in on any of the fastness. I don't think I've ever seen a full movie. So, but there's just so much math going on, and I hate to be like a modern incarnation of like a millennial who doesn't care. But like, I walked out of the theater like, I just don't care. I want to love this. I want to love Jonathan Majors being Kang. And I was so disappointed with the experience.
Well, also, let's like be honest with that second end credit scene. That was just a lazy rip off. They literally ripped a scene that they probably shot for the Loki show.
Yeah.
And just stuck it at the end of it. It's like it's practically putting a trailer for the next movie.
Yeah.
At the end of the movie, and also, to be honest, they're so zoomed in on Loki's face. I didn't even clock that it was Loki. And the entire time, because I did watch the Loki show, the entire movie, I'm like, where the fuck is Loki? Yeah. And at the end, I'm like, oh, there he is. Whatever. I'm out of here.
So normally I don't care about these numbers, but Ant-Man right now and the Wasp: Quantumania has a 47% on Rotten Tomatoes. So 303 reviews, and it is at 47%. It is definitely not certified fresh. And Metacritic, I believe, has it at, I think it's like a C. Metascore is 48 right now, which I think puts it at a C, which is not good.
Yeah.
Oh, it might be the lowest Metacritic score that any of the MCU films has had.
Is there a joke I'm missing at the end of the movie? So the movie's the official movie before the credits roll is it ends the way it starts. Like we get Scott like walking, pretty much doing the exact same walk, and he's like, everything's great, and then he starts to kind of question. He's like, wait a minute, Kang said if we stop him, then everything's gonna get worse, and blah blah blah. And then he like eats the cake, and then he's like, ew, gross, and then it hits, and then it ends. Did I miss an inside joke with the cake?
I think he picked up the cake, and the person at the Baskin Robbins made the cake for him, and hasn't
Mhm.
made a cake in a very long time, so he did a shitty job basically. But I think what we're getting from that is that Scott is sort of just still dumb Scott. Like he's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I mean, come on, like he's
Is
not a
he
big thinker. He's not, like, and he is assuming that Kang was just like he was monologuing,
right?
and I don't think that's what we should take away from Kang.
Um, Also, there's a weird connection between Baskin Robbins and um, Paul Rudd because he also in Ghostbusters Afterlife he goes to a Walmart to pick up ice cream, and he
Yeah.
picks up Baskin Robbins ice cream.
Mm.
That's not, those are two different movie studios, and yet the only connection is Paul Rudd and Baskin Robbins.
Maybe he's a variant of Scott Lang.
Oh, there you go.
Might make that movie feel a little bit better. All right, we've talked a lot. We've definitely drank the haterade here. I think one last thing. Our friend Modoc, his acronym stands for lots of M's: mental, mobile, or mechanized organism designed only for killing.
Mm,
And he was created in 1967 in Tales of Suspense. So like really serious Stan Lee and Jack Kirby created like
mhm.
villain. George
Yeah,
Tarafin was the first Modoc, and he was the
cool.
first employee of AIM, right? Which we haven't
Right,
had
right.
introduced again. Like
Well, no, AIM was advanced blah 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 mechanics from
advanced idea
um
mechanics.
that was introduced in Iron Man 3
Okay.
because the Mandarin, that was the Mandarin's
Yes,
thing.
yes.
Yeah.
So much fun. Glad to talk to
Nerd.
you. This movie absolutely did not do itself any service in my eyes. I walked out of the theater very meh. I think it's like a 2.5 star movie without a heart for me on Letterboxd.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really did not enjoy myself. Even cameos aside, Bill Murray being in this movie for 3 minutes doesn't help this movie. It's not. It could have been something like the Collector or some. It could have had an
Yeah.
impact like the Guardians movies, utilizing people in interesting
Sure.
ways, or Thor movies.
Yeah.
It really didn't. It was kind of a like a wet balloon. It really farted out in my opinion. It didn't have any
Yeah.
impact. I didn't care about it, and I love
Yeah.
Bill Murray showing up and stuff.
Well, something was they must have paid him a ton in this movie because he was playing ball. He just delivered lines and like was actually acting
Yeah.
versus like some of his more recent appearances in movies where he's like, I'm just going to be Bill Murray and ad lib everything, and you're going to get what you want. So someone had a leash on Bill Murray. So that I was impressed with that at least.
Yep.
But yeah, um,
I
yeah,
think that's it for this week.
yeah.
What is I think for next week we're probably going to be playing it a little bit by ear. John's got some fun stuff going on in his life, and we will figure out where we're going. Cocaine Bear is coming,
Oh
which
baby,
I'm excited about.
yes,
Luther
I am.
the Fallen Son is also coming. I am a sucker for the Luther franchise.
Yeah,
And I hear that this may be the kickoff for the actual franchise. Like this may be the beginning of
nice.
them having an actual series of films based on this character. So
Well, yeah,
I think it's Cocaine Bear for next week. It's my guess.
oh man, I mean, yeah.
It's gonna be fun.
Tune in to find out what we do, or just
uh, Thanks for hanging
hang
in
out
there
on
with
social
us.
medias.
Yeah, thanks for hanging out with us and putting up with us being a little mad on this movie. I think we have a lot of reasons why we were mad, and I think we were pretty good about trying to keep it real. And we are real in the way we talk about things. I think my takeaway is I want Michelle Pfeiffer and Michael Douglas to be in more stuff
Yeah.
and find better things for Evangeline Lilly and Paul Rudd to do.
Mm,
This script wasn't it, and that sucks. I feel like the two best written characters in this series right now are Janet and Hank,
right.
and
Yeah.
not the main characters.
And dude, no one died. I thought
For the biggest,
someone.
baddest guy on the planet, boy, I expected Cassie to go or
Yeah.
Hank to go. I
Uh huh.
expected somebody big to die in this movie. Yeah,
I thought like maybe Janet was gonna die.
yeah,
You know.
right. He has reason to want to kill her, like
Yeah.
lots of it. All right, let's run out it. Let's run out of this review as fast as possible. It's been fun chatting with you, John. Thank you so much for playing along. We look forward to talking again next week. And again, rate, review us wherever you find us. Reach out wherever you can. We are happy to chat. And I look forward to talking about a drugged up bear next week. It's going to be fun.
Can't wait. I can't wait. All right, guys. Thanks so much for listening. Take care.
See ya. This has been a Geek on Film podcast. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.